He said, she said. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a he said, she said case. The prosecution wants you to believe that all the evidence points to Officer Hunter Posada. But the truth is, there is not much evidence other than the words of all the parties involved. My name is Ayerim, and with my co-counsel, Colleen Page, we represent the defendant, Officer Hunter Posada, and we'll show you why you need to pay close attention to his words and his version of the story. Pay close attention to his words, to Officer Posada, an officer who has been in the force a long time, an officer who has created many friendships, including romantic relationships with his fellow officers, which included Ashley Martinez and Corey Valentine. And even though those relationships were rocky, he was still a good friend who cared for his fellow officers, maybe even too much that it was self-destructive. We're here because Corey Valentine was shot. That's a fact that nobody argues. But while the prosecution wants you to believe that it was Hunter Posada who did this, I want you to remember one very important point, that Ashley Martinez could have also killed Corey Valentine. Ashley Martinez, Corey Valentine, and Hunter Posada were part of an open relationship. It was short-lived, and then it remains just Ashley Martinez and Corey Valentine. Yes, Hunter Posada had an affair with Ashley Martinez, but that ended. Then he had an affair with Corey Valentine. He cared about her too, and that ended as well. But he remained friends with them, and when Corey Valentine said she wanted to be with just him, he told her he couldn't be part of that relationship because he didn't want to hurt his other friend, Ashley Martinez. So Corey Valentine threatened Hunter Posada that she would investigate a bribery scheme that she believed he was part of, which in fact, he says he was helping Ashley Martinez out of. And he told this to Ashley Martinez, and that is why he was at her house the night of the murder. He had called her to see if she had spoken with Corey Valentine. And when he arrived at that house and walked through the front door, he saw Ashley Martinez already had killed Corey Valentine and dismembering her. He walked in on that site. And that's when Ashley Martinez threatened him. Said that she would disclose his participation in her bribery scheme. And she forced him to help clean up the kitchen where Corey was shot, put the body in the bag, put the bag in the trunk of Corey's car, and together they drove to her ex's house. Together they drove the car to La Perla, and together they went back to pick up Corey's phone from the ex's house, and together they returned to Ashley's home. You'll be hearing from two of our witnesses today that will tell you their versions of what happened. One witness will be Corey Valentine's mentor, Tyler Rosado, who's another officer. And not only is Officer Rosado Valentine's mentor, he was her best friend. He knew her very well. In fact, he had spoken to her many times before the night she was killed, where she revealed to him her concerns about the potential bribery scheme with Hunter Posada and Ashley Martinez. And he advised her to report her suspicions. And he'll also tell you that he spoke to her the night of her murder, not even hours before, knowing that Corey Valentin had planned to confront Ashley Martinez. And he also informed Chief Claudio, who conducted this investigation, about this. And again, you'll hear from Officer Posada himself. You'll learn that he takes his job as an officer seriously, and that he's a good friend who helps out his fellow officers when they need it. And he'll tell you what happened that night of Corey Valentin's death. That he arrived and Corey was already dead. That Martinez threatened him with the bribery scheme that he was helping her out of. So please pay attention to his words and you'll see that he's nothing more than a good guy, even when it doesn't benefit him to be one. And you'll notice that none of the evidence, none of the words, none of the stories point to the fact that only Hunter Posada was the one who was able to kill Corey Valentin. And you will hear from the prosecution's witness, Officer Ashley Martinez and Chief Officer Claudio. But ladies and gentlemen, they're not reliable witnesses. You'll learn that Ashley Martinez was offered an immunity deal in relation to this case. You'll also learn that Chief Claudio has a nephew within the precinct. And you'll learn that Ashley Martinez had a sexual harassment suit against Chief Claudio's nephew. And that when she was offered the immunity deal, the very next day, she dropped her case against the nephew. Ladies and gentlemen, Ashley Martinez is playing a blame game. She has everything to lose: kids, career, maybe even the respect of her peers. And so since she's afraid of going to jail herself, she's pointing the finger and blaming Hunter Posada. At the end of this trial, my partner, Colleen Page, is going to come up here and ask you to not play this blame game with Ashley Martinez. She'll ask you to find Officer Hunter Posada not guilty, because the prosecution will have failed to prove to you, beyond a reasonable doubt, that Officer Hunter Posada was the one who killed Corey Valentin. So again, we'll remind you and we'll ask you later to find him not guilty. Thank you. A police officer killed another police officer, but the government is blaming the wrong cop. Let me take you back to January 31st, 2017. Picture Ashley Martinez, an officer for 8 years, in the middle of a serious custody battle for her children with her ex-husband. She has just been told that she's going to be investigated about a bribery that she's part of. She's told this by her lover. She's looking into the eyes of her lover, her partner, but instead of seeing love, she sees hate looking right back at her. And next thing we know, Corey Valentin is cut up. Her blood spilling on the kitchen floor. That's the kind of person that Ashley Martinez is. That's the kind of person we're dealing with here. My name is Ayerim, and with my co-counsel, Colleen Page, we represent the defendant, Officer Hunter Posada. And we're going to show you why the government is blaming the wrong guy. We're suggesting to you that it is possible, even probable, that Ashley Martinez is the one who killed Corey Valentin. Now, the prosecution is trying to blame Officer Posada, but they're leaving out details. Chief Claudio of the precinct is one of their witnesses. And she has a nephew who works in the same precinct as she does. In fact, she transferred that nephew to work with her. Chief Claudio knows that her nephew worked with Officer Martinez. and that Officer Martinez filed a sexual harassment suit against her nephew. Chief Claudio also knows that Ashley Martinez was offered an immunity deal regarding this case. The very next day after Ashley Martinez is offered this immunity deal, she drops the suit against Chief Claudio's nephew. But we're also going to show you how Ashley Martinez committed the murder. You're going to hear from a witness of ours, who's another police officer, Tyler Rosado. He's second in command, and not only that, but he was a mentor to Corey Valentine. And other than a mentor, he was also her best friend. He knew her very well. He spoke to her the night that she died. And before the night that she died, she had told him, Corey Valentine told Tyler Rosado, that she was going to confront Ashley Martinez about a bribery scheme. That she may file an internal affairs complaint that would state that Ashley had something to do with this bribery scheme. And that it was her intention to confront Martinez herself. But you'll also learn that Ashley Martinez found out about the potential investigation before Corey Valentine got to tell her herself. You'll learn this from Hunter Posada. You'll learn what his version of the story is. That Corey Valentine also told him that she would confront Ashley Martinez about the bribery scheme, and that Hunter Posada was the one who gave Ashley Martinez the heads up. They were partners. So Ashley Martinez knew that Corey Valentine was going to confront her about an investigation into a bribery scheme. You'll learn that that night, January 31st, Officer Posada was called to Ashley Martinez's house. She said to him on the phone, something terrible happened. And she asked him to go over. When he arrived and walked through the door, there he saw Corey Valentine dead. Ashley Martinez covered in blood. Officer Posada did help Ashley Martinez clean up her mess. Just like he's helped her in the past for so many in different ways, always giving her the heads up, because that's what good partners do. And not only that, she also threatened to implicate him in the bribery scheme that he was trying to get her out of, and in this murder that she committed. The prosecution is playing a blame game, and they're pointing the finger at Officer Posada. Later today, my partner, Colleen Page, will come up here and ask you to not play the same blame game Ashley Martinez is playing. She will ask you to find Officer Posada not guilty for murdering Corey Valentine. Thank you. Chief Claudia, your nephew is a police officer, correct?
Yes.
You specifically transferred your nephew, Dan, to your precinct?
Yeah, I thought he would work well with this group of officers.
He shares your last name?
Yeah.
And you see him every day?
Yeah, I guess so. He works there, so I see him.
So you work with him?
Yeah, he's one of the officers I supervise.
And he also worked with Ashley Martinez?
Yes.
And you know that she filed a sexual harassment suit against him?
She claimed he sexually harassed her, but I don't know anything really about the lawsuit.
But you know that she filed a suit against him?
Yeah.
And everybody knew about it, that she filed a suit?
Yeah, it was in the newspapers.
Chief Claudio, you also offered Ashley Martinez immunity regarding the murder of Corey Valentine.
I didn't offer it. The prosecution did. The DA, District Attorney's Office did.
Are you aware that that immunity deal was signed March 27th?
I believe so, if that's what the agreement says.
And the very next day that she was offered that deal, you know that she dropped a charge against her nephew?
I believe it was something like that. Could have been a couple of days later. I don't remember exactly.
But you are aware that she dropped the case against her nephew?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about your investigation of Corey Valentin's murder. You took the case because there had been an officer's car that was found in Alberta.
Yes.
And in your reports, you noted that you suspected both Posada and Martinez.
Yes.
And you took witness statements from both officers, Posada and Martinez.
Yes.
And Officer Tyler Rosado also gave a statement regarding Corey Valentin's disappearance.
Yes, to one of the other officers. Yes, he gave a statement.
You read that statement.
Yes.
And in that statement, Tyler Posada mentioned that Ashley Martinez owned a machete,
He mentioned something like that, but he hasn't seen it in a while.
but he mentioned in it that she owned a machete.
Yes.
And you searched Ashley Martinez's house, that's what you said?
Yes.
And you found no evidence relating to the murder of Corey Valentin.
Nope, there's nothing relevant.
And you didn't mention in your notes that you looked for the machete.
No.
And your reports know that Martinez told you that day that you searched her house that Officer Posada kept a machete at his house.
Yes, that's what she told me.
And you searched Officer Posada's house.
Yes.
And you found a machete.
Yes.
And you seized it.
Yes.
So later on, forensics showed that Posada's machete did not match the striations of the machete used to dismember Corey Valentin.
Yes.
So again, at Martinez's house, no prints were lifted and no evidence was found.
Yes.
But at Officer Posada's house, you found Corey Valentin's phone.
Yes.
That was next to Ashley Martinez's wallet.
I believe so, yeah.
And you found pictures of the officers
Yes.
and an article about a murder.
Yes.
And you only collected just the phone, Corey Valentin's phone, and the article.
Yes, I believe that was the only thing relevant to the case.
So you left Ashley Martinez's wallet there,
Yes.
even though all those items were together.
Yes.
Okay, moving on, Chief Cloder, you also decided to subpoena text messages in Corey Valentin's account.
Yes, to see what she was talking to.
And you reviewed them in order to find the texts most relevant to this case.
Yes.
You decided text messages between Corey Valentin and Tyler Rosado in December were relevant to this case.
Yes.
And you also decided text messages between Corey Valentin and Officer Posada in December were relevant to this case.
Yes.
Tyler Rosado's statement from February read that Corey texted him the night she was killed, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
His statement in his report was that Corey texted him, quote, "all hell broke loose, Ashley lost it," end quote, correct?
I think that's what Tyler claimed, but who knows?
But that she texted him that night that she was killed?
Yes.
Chief Claudio, you did not include any text messages from the night of Corey Valentin's death.
No.
No further questions. You were lead investigator on this case, correct?
Yes.
You took this case on because it was an officer who an officer's car who had been found?
Yeah, the officers that are under my command, they're like my family, so when one goes missing, I want to be involved to make sure it's done correctly.
So you'll review all the evidence necessary to come to proper conclusions?
Yes.
And you took statements from Officer Posada?
I didn't, but somebody did in my department.
You never took a witness report from Hunter Posada?
No, I reviewed it, but somebody else did. I think Officer Torres did.
One second. Ready to approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yep.
Chief Claudio, what did I just hand you?
The statement from Hunter Posada, the defendant.
And who took down that statement?
Claudia, I did. I thought you were talking.
Commissioner Richard.
Right?
So Chief Claudio, you took witness statements from Officer Posada and Officer Martinez.
Yes, I'm sorry. I thought you meant somebody else. Misunderstood your question.
Right? You're also aware that Tyler Rosado gave a statement.
Yes.
Tyler Rosado, who's another officer in your precinct,
Yes.
second in command,
Yes.
and you read his statement.
Yes.
Urging witness to transportation report. Permission to approach the witness, Your
You
Honor?
may.
Chief Claudio, I just handed you the statement from Tyler Rosado's statement regarding this investigation.
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, at this moment, I'd like to offer into evidence Tyler Rosado's statement as trial exhibit number 2. We've stipulated it to be admissible.
All right, any objection?
No objection.
All right, will be trial exhibit 2.
Chief Claudio, can you turn to the second page of that report?
Yeah.
And can you read the highlighted portion?
On Monday evening, I received a text message from Corey that said, "All hell broke loose. Ashley lost it." And Corey did not come to work the next day.
The next day, February 1st, correct?
Yes.
Permission to retrieve the document?
You may.
So in Tyler Rosado's report, he mentions that Corey Valentine texted him the night of the murder.
Yes.
And so you also took down notes regarding Tyler Rosado's statements, correct?
Yes.
Approaching witness, permission to approach witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Chief Claudio, I just handed you your notes regarding Tyler Rosado's statements.
Yes.
And on here, I'll read out loud and you'll just follow along. The last sentence, well, I'll read the full thing. Based on the statements on record, I decided to subpoena the text messages in Corey Valentine's account with the City of San Juan Telephone Company. Louis F. Colon sent me hundreds of text messages. I read all of them and determined the messages attached to be the most relevant to the case. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Chief Claudio, can you show me where in this report are texts from the night of Corey Valentine's murder?
I don't believe they're there.
Permission to retrieve, Your Honor?
You may.
And I'd like to offer this into evidence as trial exhibit number 3. We've stipulated to it being admissible.
All right, any objection?
No objection.
All right.
So Chief Claudio, Tyler Rosado in his statement says that Corey Valentine spoke to him the day of her death.
Yes.
The text shows specifically that she was with Ashley Martinez.
Yes.
And you did not include those text messages into this investigation.
No.
Moving on, Chief Claudio, you are aware that Ashley Martinez was offered immunity by the prosecution regarding this case,
Yes.
that she wouldn't be prosecuted for any of her conduct or past conduct in connection with the murder.
If that's what the immunity agreement says.
Okay, but you are aware that she was offered it.
Yes.
And you are aware that Ashley Martinez had a sexual harassment suit against your nephew.
I heard about the lawsuit.
But you were aware that she filed a complaint against your nephew.
Yes.
And your nephew, his name is Dan,
Yes.
you transferred him to your precinct.
Yes.
And he shares the same last name as you do.
Yeah.
You work with him.
Yeah, he's one of my many officers that I supervise.
So you see him every day.
I guess, yeah.
And he did work with Ashley Martinez.
Yes.
And you are aware that after Ashley Martinez was offered the immunity agreement, she accepted, she dropped the suit against her nephew.
That was her decision. She didn't want to handle the multiple lawsuits at one time. Well, the trial and the lawsuit at the same time.
But you are aware that she dropped it.
Yeah, I'm aware, but it was her choice.
No further questions.
Okay.
Good morning. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Hunter Posada.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a police officer with the city of San Juan.
What precinct are you stationed at?
San Juan.
And how long have you been an officer?
A number of years now.
Okay. Let's talk about your relationships with your fellow officers from your precinct. Do you know Ashley Martinez?
Very well.
And what is your relationship with her?
Ashley and Miss Martinez and I have had intimate relations with each other over a number of years now. But at one point we were actually patrol officers together, partners.
And did you know the victim, Corey Valentine?
I knew her well as also.
And what was your relationship with her?
I didn't know her well until Ashley Martinez brought us kind of together in a relationship. And at that point, then I knew her in an intimate way, had a relationship with the three of them, or the three of us.
Did that intimate relationship last a long time?
It was about 2 months before it was decided that we shouldn't continue that way.
And did your relationship with either Martinez or Valentine end after that breakup?
It ended with neither of them really. So what ended up happening is, independent of their relationship, I saw both Miss Valentine in an intimate way, and I also saw Miss Ashley Martinez in an intimate way. We just didn't continue, the three of us at the same time, basically.
Those intimate relationships, those separate intimate relationships, did they end?
Yeah.
What happened when you ended your relationship with Miss Valentine?
She was not happy about it. She made threats against me that she was gonna file a internal affairs report. She thought there was she was accusing me of being involved in some kind of bribery scheme and things like that. She was very unhappy, angry.
What was your response to her accusations?
I just said that there's no truth to them, and that if she was to do something like that, it would affect everybody. You know, it would not be good for me or Ms. Martinez or her, really.
So, in your opinion, would you say that she wasn't happy when your relationship ended with her?
No.
Did you talk to Officer Martinez about this?
About?
Sorry. So after you ended your relationship with Corey Valentine and she said that she'd investigate you for a bribery scheme, did you tell anybody about this?
I don't think I told anybody about her threats. I did my relationship with her, independent of Martinez. Martinez didn't know about that. She didn't know that I was seeing Corey separately.
And so about this bribery scheme, you did not tell Ms. Valentine the details of the scheme?
Just that I said that Miss Martinez was involved.
And did you tell Ms. Martinez that Ms. Valentine was going to investigate you regarding the bribery?
Yes.
Let's talk about the night of January 31st. What happened that night?
So I was at home, I believe, and I got a message from Ashley Martinez to come over to her house.
Text message, or was it a phone call?
It was a text message.
So she asked you to go over her house. Did you go over?
I did, absolutely.
And what happened when you got there?
I walked in and saw, to my horror, that Ashley had killed Corey Valentine.
Did she say anything to you when you walked in?
She said that she had done it because of the investigation into us and the bribery.
And what happened next?
At that point, I just didn't, I was shocked, and she said she needed my help in cleaning up the body and disposing of it. So I helped her do that.
Why did you help her?
I was honestly just I couldn't believe what was happening. I was kind of in shock, and I was frightened. Like the fact that she had done that.
Did she mention anything about the bribery scheme being a reason why?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was because she found Corey had told her about it and that she was angry, and she didn't want us to get caught.
Okay, so you helped clean up. What happened next?
We put the body in the bags, and then we put the bags into Valentine's car, and and then we drove to go dispose of it.
Where did you go to dispose of it?
We were heading to La Perla, and on the way, Ashley said she wanted to plant a cell phone, Corey Valentine's cell phone, into the bushes outside of her ex-husband's house because she was involved in a heated custody battle with him, and she thought she could somehow implicate him in the murder or frame him for the murder of Corey Valentine.
So you left Corey Valentine's phone at her ex-husband's house and then drove the car to La Perla.
Correct.
And why did you drive it there?
There was a plan that they was going to get burned the night of the Candelera, which is a night, it's like a festival where people light things on fire, so she thought it'd be less suspicious if we lit it on fire on that night, and that was an area where it would be like least suspected of being suspicious.
So after you left the car there, what happened? What did you do next?
Then we went back to Ashley Martinez's house.
And
Or, I'm sorry, actually we went back and got the cell phone back, and then we went to Ashley Martinez's house.
and so did you burn the car eventually?
I did, yes.
And why did you burn the car?
At this point, we're just so deep into the scheme. We just wasn't sure what else to do at that point.
Were you here during the whole trial, Mr. Posada, Officer Posada?
I was, yeah.
So you heard when there was testimony that said that Corey Valentine's phone was found in your residence when Chief Claudio searched your home.
Correct.
Can you explain why the phone was there?
Yeah, I mean, it was with Miss Martinez's wallet. She had been to my place, and she, obviously left it there because she was the one who was putting these fake text message conversations between herself and herself, basically trying to fake a conversation that Miss Valentine was still alive.
Okay, and Officer Posada, you gave a statement when Chief Claudio investigated Corey's disappearance, but you didn't confess to having been participated in the cover-up of her murder. Why didn't you report it then?
Just because out of fear.
Okay, no further questions. Good afternoon. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, my name is Hunter Posada.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a police officer.
How long have you been a police officer?
A number of years now. I won the best criminal investigator in 2014, I know.
Congratulations. Where are you a police officer?
The city of San Juan.
Okay, so then let's talk about fellow police officers from your precinct. Do you know Ashley Martinez?
Unfortunately.
Is that a yes?
I do know her, yes.
Yes. What is your professional relationship with her?
In the past, I was her partner for a time. But at the very least, we work at the police department together, city of San Juan.
And did you know Corey Valentine?
I did know Corey Valentine.
And what was her professional relationship with you?
She was also a police officer at the city of San Juan.
Were you aware of Corey Valentine's suspicions of a corruption of a bribery scheme involving Ashley Martinez?
I was aware of. Well,
How?
could you ask the question again?
Were you aware of Corey Valentine's suspicions of Ashley Martinez being involved in the bribery scheme?
I am aware that Corey Valentine was looking for something to get on me, and she decided that that was something she thought she could do that with. And Miss Martinez was really who was involved in that.
How did Corey Valentine learn that Ashley Martinez was really involved with that?
Well, I mean, just to go back, she told me that she was going to be looking for some kind of dirt on me after I broke off a relationship with her. And then when she confronted me with an accusation that I was involved in a bribery scheme, I told her that what's really going on is her partner, Ashley Martinez, was the one who was involved in a bribery scheme, and I was trying to help her get out of it.
And what did she do? What did Corey Valentine do with that information?
To my knowledge, she went and made an internal affairs report with it at the
And
police department.
She made,
That's
she
my
filed a complaint?
that's my understanding. And then she was going to confront Ashley with the information.
So she filed a complaint against you, but was going to confront Ashley about it later?
Right.
And what did you do about that?
Well, obviously, I wanted to protect Ashley. But I mean, I told Ashley. I mean, I told her that she shouldn't file the report, first of all, and then when it seemed like she was going to, I told Ashley on the 30th that, in fact, Corey was going to be reporting her for being involved in a bribery scandal.
And why would you warn Ashley about that?
Because it's going to affect her in a huge way. It's going to ruin her career, and at the very least, this is her partner. You know, her significant other. I thought maybe they could work it out, and she could maybe help her get out of the trouble as well, instead of trying to get her in trouble.
And did Corey Valentine ever tell you when she would tell Ashley, or when she would confront Ashley?
Yes, she said she was going to do it on the 31st, January 31st.
Okay, so let's talk about the night of January 31st. What happened that night?
I received a phone call from Ashley, or I think I called her actually and asked her like what happened, if she told her or if they had talked about it, and she told me that something terrible had happened and she needed me to come over and help her.
Did you go over?
I did, yes.
And what happened when you got there?
I walked in the door and Corey Valentine was in pieces, and Ashley was covered in her blood and was hysterical, just a maniac.
Did Ashley say anything to you?
Yeah, she told me that they'd gotten in a huge fight and that Corey was going to leave Ashley. And so Ashley went upstairs and drugged her kids, and then came downstairs and murdered and dismembered Miss Valentine, and that she was going to force me to help her clean it up.
And did she force you to help her clean up?
Well, she threatened me. She said that if I didn't help her, that she was going to incriminate me in her bribery scheme. She was going to have all her drug dealer friends say that I was involved. She was going to go back and change a report about when I'd helped her in the past in our partnership, where I had shot a suspect that was going to shoot her. She was going to, she was basically going to smear my name and ruin my career if I didn't do what she told me to do. So as I've helped her a bunch, so many times in the past, I helped her again.
And so what happened next? How did you help her?
I helped her load the body, put the body parts into bags, and put it in the car. And she wanted me to take we were going to take the car to La Perla neighborhood to dispose of the car.
Who went to dispose of the car?
Both of us did. She was driving.
And why go to La Perla?
I know she said something, she wanted to take it there and then we have the car burned the night of the Candelera, and that I would, because I was from there, that I would be able to go there without suspicion.
Okay. And then did you end up running the car?
I did, yes.
When?
I think it was 2 days later I did, the night of Candelera.
Why did you burn the car? Why not just go to the police and report what happened?
Again, of the threats that she made against me, that she was going to ruin my career, accuse me of the crime that she had just committed, just as she's done, and that she was going to have all her drug dealer friends incriminate me in her bribery scheme. I was going to go to jail if I didn't.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right.